What has Amber Heard been up to recently? Well, she's been trying to get out a court verdict that she lost to her ex-husband Johnny thrown out of court. She even found a potential way to get a mistrial. This would have changed a lot of things, obviously, due to how much money she was going to have to owe Depp if she didn't get his thing all worked out. But this is where the fun part starts, because we finally got word about what the results of this are, and it's not benefiting Amber Heard one bit. We'll break it down for you, don't worry. 6. Mistrial not happening. Shall we explain this from the top? Okay, Amber Heard's request for a mistrial in defamation case filed by her ex-husband, in which a Virginia jury ruled in favor of Depp, has been denied according to court documents. In a new order dated July 13, Fairfax County Circuit Court Judge Penny Ascarate rejected Heard's argument that she was not given a fair trial after one juror allegedly served on the jury without being summoned, citing there has been no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing that warrants a mistrial. Furthermore, Ascarate, who presided over Depp's 6-week-long trial against Heard, stated in her decision that the juror in question was vetted by the court on the record and met statutory requirements for service, as well as questioned and approved by both Heard and Depp's legal teams prior to the trial. The judge also wrote that the jury list was provided to Heard's counsel 5 days before the trial, so the actress had every opportunity to object to or to voir dire on the issue. The juror was vetted, sat for the entire jury, deliberated, and reached a verdict, the docs read. The only evidence before this court is that this juror and all jurors followed their oaths, the court's instructions, and orders. This court is bound by the competent decision of the jury. A party cannot wait until receiving an adverse verdict to object for the first time on an issue known since the beginning of the trial, the order states. On July 8, Heard's legal team filed a motion for a mistrial, stating in court documents obtained by E! News that the trial's jury list included an individual listed as born in 1945, making them 77 years old, but that voter registration information also listed a 52-year-old with the same last name living at the older person's address. The individual who appeared for jury duty with this name was obviously the younger one. The filing read, thus the 52-year-old sitting on jury for 6 weeks was never summoned for jury duty on April 11. Heard's attorneys argued in the papers that the star's due process was therefore compromised, adding, under these circumstances, a mistrial should be declared and a new trial ordered. Except, that's not what happened now, is it? In fact, the exact opposite happened and the whole thing was thrown out. But you might still have questions about what went down, so let's dive a little deeper here. 5. The juror in question. So while this attempt may be closed, the acts that led us to getting to this point is still worth talking about. Because as we said, if there was an imposter juror in the court, that would be indeed a serious miscarriage of justice. However, the court determined that this wasn't the case, and that the details brought forth by Heard's team didn't really amount to much. The father and son lived together. The judge rules there was no fraud because the summons did not include a birth date. Plus, as the judge noted, both sides had to determine if this particular juror, no matter who he was or wasn't, was competent enough to make a decision in this trial, and that's exactly what they did. For all Amber Heard knows, that juror might have been a supporter of hers early on, until they heard the actual truth and turned their opinion to Johnny Depp. We don't know the truth for sure. Timing and who was involved was key here, because if there was something wrong with the juror, it was up to the lawyers of Amber Heard to point it out then and not now. But what if... 4. They already knew. While we can't confirm this part in full, it does seem to make sense when you look at it from an overall perspective. Meaning, knowing who Amber Heard is and how she has done various things, it might work. Basically, there are those who have said that Amber Heard actually knew about the imposter juror before the case even started, as the research into jurors determined that there might have been an imposter, but they didn't want to say anything out loud so that they could make their move when the time was right. In this case, the time was right was a reference to how they lost the case and needed to try and get a mistrial. Again, we can't prove this to be the case, but if it was to be true, then that would very much change the whole perspective of this attempt to get things shot down. In fact, you could argue that a crime was committed to try and defraud the court, as Amber Heard literally would have let a fraudulent juror potentially into court so that she could call out that they were fake if things didn't go her way. It's downright diabolical if this is true, and of course, Heard will deny that this was the case, so be ready for that. 3. The push for a mistrial. If you didn't know, the reason that Amber Heard wanted this mistrial to happen is a very layered thing. First of all, if a mistrial was done, that would mean that she would go back to court and try and put Johnny Depp on blast again. The second reason is money. Due to the jury, Amber Heard now has a $8.35 million debt that she owes Johnny Depp. But according to a lot of resources and close friends, we have learned that she is quite broke, which means that if she could find a way to get out of this verdict and the payout, it would literally change her world for a set period of time. But as you've now seen, it's not easy at all to get something overturned. The juror did their job in the eyes of law, and that was what was needed. You honestly had to wonder if Heard could pull this off, but the answer was an empathetic no, and as a result of that, she's got another issue that is going to take up much of her time and money. Two, the appeal. In an order ruled by the judge in this case on June 24th, Amber Heard's lawyer tried to file an appeal right there and then, but the judge put a stop to it in a major way by stating that if Amber Heard wants to file an appeal, she has to put up a bond first. A bond worth $8.35 million, with a 6% interest attached for good measures. As we have already mentioned, Amber Heard is in serious financial troubles. Or at least that's what she claims. There are stories and pictures saying that she is doing better than she lets on. So her being forced to get the money together in order to try and file an appeal that she might not win or even get granted was a big weight on her shoulders and mind. And now that this verdict has come in, that means that her big swing was very much a whiffer, and that puts her in a bind that she might not be able to get out of. One, what will she do next? So all in all, Amber Heard is in a lot of trouble both financially and legally. No matter what she tries, it doesn't go anywhere or go where she wanted it to go. This post-trial motion with the juror was indeed something that could have changed everything, but instead, it just made Amber Heard look desperate and now in a state of potential panic. If she can't get that bond money, she can't get the appeal per the judge. So will Amber Heard try and get the money together now? Possibly, and she has a few ways to get it done potentially. But not all of them are legal and some are less than scrupulous. What will Amber Heard do next? Keep fighting more than likely, but the more that her attempts fail, the more she realizes that she's slowly but surely running out of time and options. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the denied actions by Amber Heard and her team? Were you honestly happy that she got her motion denied? Do you think that she's going to try and do some other plan or scheme to try to get things thrown out? How do you think Johnny Depp and his team feel about this? Let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.